Malo Lavale Soifua Maua Malelangi e Mama, and welcome to Pasifika Wire in 2023. And what a way to start the new year with such a very special guest who I considered, and I'm humbled to consider, a colleague of mine in this wonderful industry we call media, broadcasting. And he needs very little introduction. We are very happy to be talking to a very familiar voice. Now, when you wake up bright and early, 6 o'clock in the morning on Radio 531 PI, he's one of the first voices you hear who welcomes you in and ushers you in to a brand new day, and he gives you words of inspiration. And of recently, he, of course, ushers you into the afternoon on a Pacific Drive. Of course, on the very important national whānaus and events that have been happening around the country, such as Pasifika Proud, Lalanga Fo, and of course, the Pasifika Business Trust Awards. He is the one who is ushering you in with his wonderful Master of Ceremony talents. We are joined this morning by the very, very talented and also the new recipient of the Queen's Service Medal for the New Year's Honours List of 2023 for services for Pacific community. So it's very fitting. We're joined by Ma'a Brian Sagala. Happy New Year, Ma'a. It's so wonderful to be with you today.
Happy New Year, sister, and thank you so much for this opportunity today, Gladys, to talanoa with you and to speak with your Pasifika Wire listeners or viewers. It's so great, and I'm so humbled. Thank you so much for the opportunity, dear.
Oh, look, 2023. First off, how are you and your family? How did you? How was Christmas?
It was good. I went into debt, maybe refinancing the house by a couple $1,000. After this interview, I might not actually have accommodation, but we had a great Christmas. Kids got everything they wanted, and ironically, Dad got nothing. But it's not about receiving. It's always about giving. As much as you sacrifice for your kids over their lifetime to receive a box of chocolates. But, you know, again, I don't want to go too much into that, Gladys, because then this is another talanoa which will go down a rabbit hole, which may not be good for me or my family. But it was good. We had a great time and, you know, great food and great company. So, so blessed in that. And then, of course, with New Year's, just a quiet one. I think when you get to my age, Gladys, it's like I watched the fireworks live from the Sky Tower, and then I went to bed, and that was it. As opposed to maybe 20 years ago, we don't need to go into that past, but yeah, just keeping it nice and simple. Thank you.
And what a journey it's been, 2023. It's been an interesting 3 years, you know, COVID, the pandemic, but what a wonderful way to end it off for you, of course, being acknowledged in the New Year's Honours List in 2023. But before we get there, I want to talk about your amazing career in broadcasting and what you've achieved. Can you just, you know, give us a snippet, just take us down the journey that led you into broadcasting?
Well, it's interesting, Gladys, how I, you know, started my current tenure at Pacific Media Network. I forgot that I'd actually done stints on radio a number of years ago. So my first stint on radio, Rewa Tumotu, as part of the Three Amigos crew, which was myself, Albert Wipani, and Brian Marsh. And this is going back about 20-something years.
Wow.
And, it was funny because the show before us was a young man by the name of Faleti Pua, who would go on to great success with, oh my gosh, what's the name of the group?
It's on.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and then I had a little stint in Radio Samoa in the afternoons, Crazy Kokonati. But I'm going into 8 years now with Pacific Media Network, and how it all came about, it really is a God thing, Gladys. I was at a job prior to Pacific Media Network, 531, and to say that I didn't like the job would be an understatement, but out of respect, I'm not going to say who the employer was, okay? And this is a good point for young people as well, for any person. I did not miss a single day. I was never late. I never had a single sick day for the year that I was there, and I did put in, you know, to the best of my ability. So a few months in, really not enjoying it. And when I was going to the train station, I'd literally be crying and calling out to God and saying, Father, please, bless me with something that will be able to utilize, the gifts and the talents that you bless me with to be able to bless other people. And then maybe 2 months prior to finishing up at the previous employer, I got a call from the lovely Ulele Mamai Te Eva Matawhai, who at the time was the program director at Pacific Media Network, saying that there was an opening on the breakfast slot and would I be interested? And you know what? I hung up and I just got on my knees and I was just going, oh, thank you, Father. Thank you so much. I didn't know what I was in for, but it's a leap of faith. And so that's how the whole opportunity came. And then I was blessed to spend some time with Matt Ineleo, who was the host on Pacific Breakfast before myself, and gave me a great foundation upon which to build.
Sorry, helps if I turn my mic on. These are 101 skills, Brian, that I have forgotten. Oh, gosh.
I've been there. Trust me, I've been there, G.
And, just thinking of Nesian Mystic. It was on my brain, Nesian Mystic. So.
Thank you so much, and sorry for Letty. Forgive me, Reverend.
And Ma'a, talking about your journey, which, like you said, didn't just start at Pacific Media Network. What do you think is unique about Pacific Media? What is it that what do you think it is that special, USP?
For ourselves as Pasifika, one of the taglines for PMN is by Pacific, for Pacific, Gladys. And I think that we are the best placed to tell our stories, having lived experience, our environment, our upbringing, our culture, our connection to our communities, which allows us to tell a story in more depth, if I can say that, and because it's something that we do as storytellers from our heart, and I could go to any community, whether it be Indian, Chinese, whether, a European, it would be the same thing, because we are inherently people of the moana, and it's in our DNA. When we share our stories, it comes from a place that is, that is steeped in tradition, culture, and legacy of those that have gone before us. And that's what I think on that, that we are the best place to tell our stories.
And, with the years that you've been in the industry, what's changed? Has a lot changed?
Social media, in a word or two. When I first started, we didn't hardly do any live streaming or that on Facebook. But now it's, we live stream our videos, we do podcasts. You've got the various social media platforms such as, Instagram, Twitter, which can, broaden our audience, our reach, our scope and engagement with a global audience, literally a global audience. And that's amazing. I think in technology, and it's only going to, go further. I mean, even with us now, what we're doing a number of years ago may not have even been possible. How old is Zoom? Hey, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Absolutely. And, Ma'a, it's not only your talents behind the mic, but also, you're in front of the screen, you're acting, you're on television, but also your skills as master of a ceremony. Tell us what makes a good master, what makes a good MC?
It's a question I've been asked time and time again over the years, Gladys? And a few things come to mind from my own experience, having been blessed to host a number of events, private, corporate, community, etc., over 20 plus years. I think first and foremost, you have to be, as an MC, very comfortable in your own skin. You have to be confident in your identity, not so much confident in your ability, because for me, I believe that, I've been blessed with certain gifts. I can't go out there, I did it. No. I honestly believe that these are gifts that, the Lord has blessed me with, that I've been able to utilize over the years to serve various audiences and communities. And so when you're confident in just who you are, comfortable in your own skin, that's half the job. Another big thing is you have to make sure when somebody asks you to host an event, it's not a small undertaking. It doesn't matter the size of the event, the number of people, but for somebody to ask you to host and to lead their event, it's something that I never get over, that someone would ask me and, give me this responsibility. And so, to make sure that you are always adhering to the needs and the requirements of the people that have brought you on, especially when money's involved. It's not just rock on up on the day and you haven't done any preparation. You know what I mean? So working with organizers to know exactly what their needs are, what their requirements are, and then making sure that you deliver on those. I said the word preparation. I can't stress enough, Gladys, if emceeing is something that you would like to do and to do over a long period of time, taking into account I don't have a website, I don't have an Instagram page or a Facebook page, that's a New Year's resolution. So let me write that down. But, I've been blessed to be asked over, 20 plus years. It's been consistent work. But preparation is just, it's the foundation. It's like the saying, proper preparation prevents poor performance. No one will ever see the work that you put in as an MC in the lead up to an event, nor should they. It's not about that, but that also helps in giving you confidence, knowing that you have that foundation firmly in place. You know what the organizers want, and that's something that, if and when there are issues that arise during an event, that you can, pivot, that you can adapt. And that's another thing. When you're at an event, it's just not hard, fast, concrete. In over 20 years of maybe hundreds of events, there's never been 100 out of 100, Gladys, an event where there hasn't been some change during the program, whether it's a speaker is running late, whether a performer has not turned up, whether it's a technical issue, or, there's been a last minute change in the program. But you have to be able to adapt on the fly. If you go on and say, no, this is what it says, and that's the run sheet. It doesn't work like that. On the day, you have to be flexible. And then, of course, there's the part of having fun, and being in the moment. It's such a blessing, Gladys, when people ask me to be part of an event. It's such an honor and such a blessing. But when you're standing there in front of an audience, there's nothing like it. It's a drug that I love. You are there, an audience. You don't know how it's going to go, and again, you're on. It's like you don't know how the audience is going to react. But I learned a long time ago that not everyone is going to like your particular style of emceeing, and that's okay. It's not about that. As long as you are faithful to the organizers, as long as you do your part in the best of your ability to be able to serve an audience. And that's the other thing. It's never about you as an MC. It's always about the people, the audience that you serve. Just like with my role as host of Pacific Days on 531 PI, it's never about me. It's about the audience. And when you get your priorities right in terms of the audience and yourself, it's not out there to go and to raise your profile and, hey, look at me, everybody, da 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 da. No. What I like hearing after an event is that an event went well. And even though your name may not be mentioned, that's all good. Because again, it's not about raising your profile. An event is good because an event is good and people will remember that. It's just like you go to a wedding and, done a number over the years. What are the two main things that, always dictate in people's minds a successful wedding? It'll be the food, as islanders. It's always food first, but also the MC for the reception. Because, 1 or 2 hours, but then for 4+ hours, you're the person that's been charged with the responsibility of navigating audiences, families through the program. And so that's another big thing. Check your ego at the door, and if you put the audience first and foremost, then you're onto a good start. And there's a saying that comes to mind for me, because I went to drama school a number of years ago, and one of the sayings of our drama teacher we had was, when you're in the light, be in the light. And, like about just being present and enjoying the moment, because after you've done all the work, after you've done all the preparation, and once that program starts, man, just buckle in and enjoy the ride, whichever way it's going to go. So just a few things. Yeah.
I must admit, when we had the pleasure of you emceeing our niece's wedding, Alyssa and Dylan, and all my nieces and nephews afterwards were like, can Ma'a please MC for our birthdays, for our weddings, for our, and I think it was even just, get-togethers, and I was like, I don't think we have enough money, and he's extremely busy, so I mean, it's testament to the work that you've done, and is it the same ethos that you have for when you're on air as well,
Yeah,
with
definitely.
shows?
Definitely.
And not to put you on the spot, but highlights of guests that you've interviewed over the years, and some guests that maybe you'd like to just push delete.
There's never been a guest that wanting to delete. The ones that I cite quite often are two examples. Interviewed an incredible young gentleman by the name of Tristan Mona, who at the time, 15 or 16, at the time that I interviewed him, Gladys, he entered the global Microsoft PowerPoint competition. Now, take into account, there was over 800,000 applicants, or contestants rather, from around the world that entered. This young 15, 16-year-old Māori Samoan Pālangi, a gentleman, out of 800,000, won that competition. He was the first Kiwi. He was the first Pasifika ever to win that. And out of the entrants, what was it? It was over a million sort of entries from the 800,000 contestants. And I think to myself, man, that's incredible. The other person that comes to mind, a number of years ago, I interviewed an incredible Samoan sister by the name of Matamua Loretta Washington, born and raised in Otara and raised the minister's daughter. At the time that I interviewed her, Gladys, she was the chief master sergeant of a naval base in Arizona for the US Navy, overseeing staff, or overseeing a team that serviced a community, including the naval base, of about 50,000 people. These are just two. Another lady, or mind you, another one comes to mind at the moment. I think Stonex McCarthy, a lovely young Samoan lady. She spent a number of years growing up or being raised on an American Indian reservation. She studied at University of Utah, or Brigham Young University in the States, and she qualified with the highest degree in law, jurisprudence or something like that. And one of her goals was to, was to one day become the president of the United States. And it was incredible. It was like, oh, my life. And I think maybe one more, and our colleague Alfred Aholelei, our goodie, known by many, an amazing DJ. So in 2017, he was the DJ for the Rugby League World Cup, and this particular game, Mate Ma'a versus Australia. And there was an incident that happened in the booth, which he posted up on Facebook, regarding a comment from one of the, I think it was NRL staff, looking at the celebrations of our, MMT supporters, and how our our Tongan community, oh my gosh, awana,
flags.
And it was something along the lines, I think, paraphrase, dance, monkey, dance. And right up until that point, Alf really enjoyed the moment. He loved it. He was serving but from that point onwards, the whole atmosphere, his whole demeanor changed in that. And so I was able to, have him on the show when I was hosting Pacific Breakfast, to have a talanoa around that, which garnered a lot of attention. And then as a result of his Facebook post, the NRL approached him. I think he was able to eventually sit down with the particular gentleman and the team to talk about, how they were working towards bettering themselves, educating themselves around this. So just some of the many highlights. I think over 8 years, going into my 8th year now, Gladys, it's a couple of thousand interviews, because the format that I've had when I was on Pacific Breakfast and now on Pacific Days, I aim to have about 3 guests per day, whether they're regular segments or just something, a guest that I'm following up. So if you calculate that over 8 years, it's quite a number of people, but it never loses its shine. It never loses its ability. It's something that I prayed for, as I said at the beginning. And so at the moment, for me, I don't consider it work. I consider it a ministry. But then again, it's all the behind the scenes things like, prepping, contacting, organizing for 6 out of the 8 years of being self-produced. And so, but that's just part and parcel. Again, like when I was talking about Insane, Gladys, audiences don't need to see that. They're not concerned about, I didn't get any sleep and, I've only been, 3 hours sleep and I came straight to work. Who cares? Just, share the stories and do your job. It's like, yes, that's right.
When you're on, you're on.
Yeah. And when you're off, you're off. Hey,
yes.
Share this. It was so funny. And this is a good example, everyone, of making sure that you don't get too ahead of yourself. So when I first started in Pacific Breakfast, after a number of weeks, I thought, man, I got it, man. This is too easy. And then one morning, I got a call between 6 and 7 o'clock hour, and the lady goes, one of our lovely callers, oh, hello. And I went, yes, dear. She goes, hello, is anybody on air? I can't, it's only music. Is anybody talking? What happened was I didn't press the button on the panel for, for me to be broadcast. So even though my mic was on, I forgot to press the PGM button. And so for about an hour, I calculated, I was talking to myself. And so I thanked the lady. I hung up. And then I spent the next 5 minutes crying while I played a few songs going, wow. Wala fia poco. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Just again, a snotty nose, so I'll use this towel just to. Kia ora. Anyway. But yeah, never. Well, if you are ever in a place where you think you got it together, trust me, either the Lord or circumstances will show you otherwise. And that's, I like to think that that's my attitude in my role at 531 PI. That yes, 8 years in, but never lose that curiosity or the awe and the honor and the blessing of serving your community in the role that you play here in sharing the stories of our communities, our global Pasifika diaspora.
And speaking of honour, it's very fitting that you were recognised in the New Year's Honours 2023 for services to the Pacific community. You don't know what it was like seeing your names, your name there, Ma'a Brian Sagala, Ne Mai Vudango, Sefita Hauli, all people that I have admire and I've had the privilege of working with. And there you were. Tell me, what does this mean to you?
Well, you can see what it means. But you know me, G, I've always been a person, and when you get to my age, I wear my heart on my sleeve, but it's just so overwhelming. I'm so overwhelmed, and I'm so honored, and I'm so blessed, to be able to represent my dad, who passed away in 2009. He was the very first person I thought of. Dad came to this country without a formal education, reaching only standard 4, but yet to come to New Zealand, to sacrifice, to raise 4 young boys, mostly on his own, because mum and dad, they separated in 1988. And the irony being that mum has been living with us for the last month, coming over from Samoa due to health complications. So full circle, but dad, mum, my brothers, my darling wife, Alberta, our beautiful children, grandchildren, all my family, all my friends. I was so, doing this fake pride thing. This, I wasn't actually going to accept it. And then my darling Alberta, she put me in my place. She said, don't be silly. Don't be an idiot. It's not about you. And it's like, oh, shame. Shame on your undies. But it's so true. Yes, the honor, has been awarded to me, and that's great. But when I received it on behalf of Salatielu Pepe Sagala from Vaie Sa Whaka. I received it on behalf of Sa Alatimo from Sa Maunga, Vaisala. I received it on behalf of my brothers, Yese, Paulo, Sua. I received it on behalf of my darling wife and our beautiful children, Swinton, Tristan, Indigo, Caleb, Noah, Glory, Summer. I'm not going to go into our grandkids' names because there's 9 of them. And if I forget one, that's not too good. I represent Porirua. I'm very proud of who I represent, born and raised, Escott Park, Porirua East, Tairangi Kindergarten, Rangikura Primary School, Waitangi Aotea College. This is who I am. And these are the communities. Mangere East, which has been my home for over 30 years. This is my community. And so it's not just about me, but it's a reflection of the people, the communities that have so much sown into my life over the years. Yourself, and all my colleagues at PMN over the years, Don Mann, our current CEO, and the SLT, our staff from 531, past and present. I think of people like Tango Pitt, who served the Samoan community so faithfully for over 20 years. I think about George Mongadonga, who longest serving member of a 531, 28, 29 years. People that you won't see there, maybe in front of the mic and that, but they're just as important, just as vital to 531 PI. There are countless others. Our PMN language programs, all our hosts across the 531 and New FM platforms, PMN News, etc. So, again, it's got my name on this citation, and it'll be presented to me whenever. But again, it's a reflection of who I am as a person and the countless number of people who have sowed into my life over the years, Gladys.
Ma'a, for you, as we usher in a new year, what advice would you give to those who are thinking about a career in broadcasting and radio in particular, or joining this industry? What would you say to them?
Be prepared to work, be prepared to sacrifice, and be prepared to give everything. I tell you, over 8 years, there's been a lot of close calls when it comes to my family, and time and again, my wife has been on me there. Hey, don't forget you've got a family at home. It's just all part and parcel when you are part of this industry, Gladys. And I suppose, whether you want to have any longevity, make sure that you do it for the right reason. Because again, as I said with MC, if you want to get into broadcasting just so you can get more subscribers to your various social media platforms, you won't last long. Know why you want to do it. The why is always the strongest. Why is it? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to share the stories of our community? Because it's not a small undertaking and it's not a small responsibility. It's lightly given, and every day you have to earn it. Every day you have to earn it. Whenever people talk about mainstream and mainstream media outlets, Gladys, I always say, well, Pacific Media Network, we're Pasifika mainstream, and that's the main thing to me. Those stories that I shared with you, they may not ever see the light of day on mainstream channels. It doesn't matter, because for me, the why every day is telling stories of the Tanaka or the Pasifika, our Pacific communities. That's the why. having that strong foundation in place. I did not attend journalism school. I have not done a degree in communications at a university, etc. And I'm not saying that you have to, but if you know your why, if you know what it is that you're getting yourself into, and that you're prepared to do the work, to do the mahi, then that will put you in good stead for areas where you may not be as confident or gifted, because it's learning on the job as well. I was blessed to visit Australia recently as part of a Public Media Alliance, of which I was one of 8 grantees chosen from around the world. And my proposed project was going to visit and learn and build relationship with 2 of Australia's largest broadcasters, Special Broadcasting Services, SBS, as well as Australian Broadcasting Corporation. I spent the whole week, 2 days at SBS and 3 days at ABC, Gladys, just in awe of everything, and everything I saw, everyone that I spoke to, who were all, to a fault or to a T, were all so generous and giving with their time and with their knowledge, and so very passionate about what they did. And I was blessed to be able to share, a presentation from PMN. And to be honest, I was quite overwhelmed, feeling, oh my gosh, we've got a little network here at, PMN, compared to ABC has about 4,000 staff globally, as a media organization, 54 radio stations across Australia, international bureaus, etc. SBS, they have 63 language programs. I think they're about maybe between 1 and 2,000 staff. And it was easy to be intimidated. But the way that I looked at it was this, is that where those organizations are now, and maybe to a certain extent RNZ, TVNZ, is where we want to position ourselves at PMN, in the future. You know what, G? When I was sharing my presentation on behalf of PMN, I couldn't have had more pride, because I was highlighting the fact, from what my research has shown me over the years, that as an organization, Pacific Media Network are the only media organization outlet that has 10 Pacific language programs dedicated, 10 dedicated Pacific language programs produced and presented by speakers, native speakers of the language. And that's something I was holding on to. But again, I was, talking about how, for me, I see this, it was a trip, but also I see it as sowing seeds, to use that farming analogy, if I can, please, with regards to all the knowledge that I'm shared. And I'm currently working my way through my report, which I'm going to submit to Public Media Alliance, but then there will be another report which I'm going to share with my PMN family. And my hope and my prayer is that when they read it, however, that it will encourage and inspire them to be able to, reach the heights, for them to go out and to be the best that they can be, in their roles, but also outside of work as well. And what was it? That's something that's very dear to me, being able to sow back into others, where I've been blessed. Now, I sow. I may not see the fruits and the benefits during my time at PMN, but there'll be somebody that'll come after me, that one day it won't be it'll be just a normal thing. Okay, you're going over to BBC. Oh, you're going over to spend some time at CNN. You're going over to SBS, ABC, whatever, coming as a result of this seed or first fruits, if you will. And again, you just you have to be prepared to put the work in. I can't stress that enough, Gladys. For all the interviews, for all the people that I've spoken with over the years, less sharing stories of our Pacific community, beyond the lights and the glamour, there is the work that has to be done. And I always use that analogy of the duck. A duck or swan on the water, above the waterline. It's just calm, serene. That take your camera underneath, under the waterline. That's what you see. So what our audiences hear and what they see, that's above the waterline. But be prepared to do the work that is just as, if not more important, under the waterline. And that again will put you in good stead. And again, as with emceeing, know your why. I mean, your audience, what it is that you want to do, to be able to serve your audience, to be able to serve our community. Because again, it's not a small undertaking. It's not a small responsibility. I have the greatest privilege every single day when I press that button that it turns on the mic. I'm speaking to people across New Zealand, people that are tuning in via iHeartRadio from around the world, that allow me the privilege to join them, whether they be in their workplaces, being at home, wherever. And that's something that I've never, ever taken for granted, Gladys, that people allow me the time to speak, to share, hopefully to impart wisdom, to engage, educate, uplift, and have a good time while doing it. One of the greatest testimonies or compliments I had, I recall I was in the middle of doing a function, emceeing a function a number of years in Auckland, Gladys. And during the break, I was coming down from the stage and I saw this lady. She was walking up to me and she had tears in her eyes. She was crying. And I was like, oh no, what did you say? What have you done? Are the police on their way? Yeah, are the police on their way? And so she came up to me and she goes, are you Brian Sagala on 531 PI? And I went, yes. And I went, oh no. And then she said this, Gladys, I'll never forget it. Can you please pass on your thanks to your bosses at 531 PI? My mother recently passed away from cancer. In her last few months, one of the greatest comforts was actually listening to 531 PI. And on behalf of my family, here I go again, on behalf of my family, please pass on your thanks. I never forget that. In times like that, it's like the icing on the cake. It's not it's not why I do it, but it's so great to get that, that acknowledgement that we are, serving our communities well, but also, and if, for those that are looking into getting into broadcasting, I'll be straight up, to represent our people well, not to live down to the stereotypes of Pacific people, represent ourselves well, represent yourself and your family well.
Ma'a, what does 2023 look like for you? What have we got in store?
A lot more work. That's why I usually take, the amount of time that I do. Over the last few years, and thank you, Louis, thank you, Dawn, that, I try and work through the whole year without a break. I know it may seem, what? And then I take the whole month of January off to be able just to release and to spend some well-deserved quality time with my family who mean everything to me. I can't just talk enough about my darling Alberta, Gladys. I've shared with you over the years, and everyone, just how much she means to me, the way that she supports, she loves me, and she actually puts up with my temper tantrums and that. How many times, I think I've learnt my lesson, then I'll go and spaz out and then, she just listens, just okay. And then when I've come to my senses and I come crawling back and asking for forgiveness with tears coming down my eyes and snot coming out of my nose, she goes, it's okay. So without her love and without her support, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. And, for me in 2023, I actually want to get a better work family life balance. I don't think that's a bad thing at all, but to be able to do to be able to serve our Pacific community better, but doing it smarter and making sure that when I'm away from the mic and when I'm away from work, that I can switch off and actually go, hey, okay, no, that email can wait, that call can wait. Now I'm at home spending time with my family. I think for 2023, I really want to get out more into the community to look at broadcasting from festivals and events as opposed to being in the studio. And we've recently had some new software introduced at Pacific Media Network, which I'm confident will allow me to do that, to actually go out and to be able to broadcast from Pasifika or any number of events live on the ground, which I think would just add more substance and more flavor and really bring our 531 PMN listeners and viewers, and give them a sense of being there as well, and just to continue sharing, great stories, more inspirational stories of our Pacific community.
Ma'a Brian Sagala, what an honor it's been to talk to you like this. I know we talk, as colleagues, and we shoot the breeze and so forth. But just hearing your story, your journey, it's been a privilege. Congratulations! I look forward to seeing more of you in 2023. All my love to you, and 531. May it forever continue. So proud of you.
And just on that, Gladys, a very big thank you to you and to Gary and the family. Also to note for 2023, it's a big milestone year for 531 PI. In August, we're going to be celebrating 30 years.
Yes.
So make sure you get prepare yourself and make time available so that you can come and be part of the celebrations. And that 30 years, it's such a milestone. And if I can add, Gladys, that I'm only one small part of the 531 PI PMN story. When I leave, my story will add to those that have come before. Again, like I mentioned, amazing individuals such as Atango and that. And I can't finish without acknowledging the visionaries, the community leaders that saw fit to advocate and to lobby the government for our own radio station, which has served our community over 30 years. And it's such a great honor to be part of that ongoing legacy.
Thanks for listening. Visit our website at www.pacificawire.com. We welcome you to like us on Facebook, LinkedIn, follow us on Twitter, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can listen to the full podcast on Spotify. Whaafatai, mai e manuia.